Hey everyone, so it is now 1 o'clock Pacific, so we're going to get started. Thank you everyone for coming out today. So let's just dive into the presentation here. Great. So I'm excited for today's webinar because oh, you know what? I don't think you guys can see me. Sorry, give me a second. Huh, that's never happened to me before. I apologize for the technical issue. If you'll just give me 1 second. There we are. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, back 1 slide. So this is the first time I've really run a webinar like this. I've obviously answered a lot of questions about my products before, but I've never dedicated an entire webinar specifically to explain my products and to answer any questions that you have about my catalog. So first, let us cover the outline. As you'll see, the part of the webinar that I actually talk is going to be shorter. That's to allow more time for Q&A. And so for the Q&A, I'm going to ask that you please post any questions into the Q&A pod, not into the chat pod. That's how I'll find them. If you post them into the chat pod, I'll probably miss them when I get around to answering questions. Of course, feel free to use the chat pod during the webinar to chat. So we'll start with an intro that'll be very quick, just to give a little more time for people to show up. Then I'll talk about what is SYB protection, how it works, and how you can know that it works. Then I'll go through the various solutions that we offer. And then I have as I said in the emails, I have a big discount for you that's valid today to get a head start on your holiday shopping. And then we'll get right into Q&A from there. So here's the intro. For those of you who don't know me, my name is R. Blank. I am the CEO of SYB. I'm also the host of the Healthier Tech podcast, available on iTunes and all major podcasting platforms. Formerly served on the faculty at the University of Southern California Viterbi School of Engineering, along with my father, Dr. Martin Blank, co-authored Overpowered, which is still today one of the best books written on the topic of EMF and health effects. And this all follows a 20-year career in software engineering. So what is SYB EMF protection, right? So that gets to the question of what is EMF protection at all? And it seems like a simple question, but it's actually kind of a loaded one because there are a lot of options out there, right? Especially with growing awareness of EMF as a health risk, there are a rapidly growing number of products out there claiming to protect you from EMF. There are electronics accessories like phone cases, apparel like underwear, pendants and stickers and neutralizers and harmonizers. There are nutritional supplements that claim to reduce or reverse EMF damage. And there are some very expensive devices that you can that claim to protect your entire home. So as a starting point, there are a really, really wide variety of things that call themselves EMF protection. Here at SYB, we work with products that have testable claims. And by and large, those are shielding products. They're called shielding products. And that is, with the exception of my headsets, which I will explain how those work, all of my products are shielding products. EMF shielding is based on fundamental, universally accepted scientific principles that are almost 200 years old, ever since Michael Faraday created his first Faraday cage in 1836. Electromagnetic shielding works by creating a mesh of conductive or magnetic material that forms a barrier that obstructs EMF fields. So you can think of EMF shielding like a window shade, except instead of blocking sunlight, these shields block and deflect EMF radiation. How is EMF shielding tested? Where do I get my product claims from? Well, shielding is tested with a type of test called an attenuation test. The word attenuation essentially means blocking. So an attenuation test tells us how much EMF radiation something like my SYB phone pouch will attenuate or block. And on this slide, you'll see a couple of photos of actually the very first round of tests SYB commissioned way back in 2013, I think. And this was at the UCLA Center for High Frequency Electronics. There are 4 key elements to an attenuation test. First, you have to have a controlled environment, so you don't have random EMF pollution messing up the results. Then you need something that generates the EMF signal, and it needs to be at very specific doses of very precise frequencies. So an EMF signal generator. Then you need your shielding product, whatever it is you're testing. And then finally, you need a spectrum analyzer, which is, I mean, we talk a lot, and I'll mention it later here, but about EMF meters. And those are the kind that you can buy and use. And if you hire a consultant, they'll have even fancier ones. Well, a spectrum analyzer is an even fancier one. These things can cost tens of thousands of dollars. You see one here on the right in the lab. That is a spectrum analyzer. So you have a controlled environment. You have something emitting EMF. You have something to detect EMF. And then you put your product in between and you see how much EMF is cut. And that is how you test this stuff, and that's how you know it works. And it produces something, a set of results that looks something like this. It tells you the frequency, it gives you the shielding effectiveness. Often you'll see this measured in something called decibels, which is it's the same actual unit that you've probably heard of with audio, right? Except here it's being used to measure ratios of power. And the higher the decibel count, the more powerful the shielding. But because a lot of people don't understand decibels, that can be converted with a formula into a percentage. And so that's what you'll see on our testing results, right, is a decibel value and a percentage. And you see it varies between different sets of frequencies, right? So the same shielding that you get at 1.5 gigahertz might be different than you get at 26 gigahertz. Now, so companies like mine, right, publish the results of attenuation tests performed on our products to show you that our products actually work. And this is where we get all of the data that we use on our product listings. But you need to use the product the way it's designed to be used. And this is really important because if you don't use the product the correct way, it may do absolutely nothing, or even worse, it may actually increase your exposure, right? So first you need to look to see if a company like SYB can present testing data to make sure that it actually works. But even then, even if you're picking a product from a reputable company that can work, you need to use it the correct way. If you don't use it the correct way, it may do nothing and it may actually exacerbate the problem. So here I'll use the example of my phone pouch. My phone pouch, which you see on this slide, it's a little pouch that's designed to make it safer to carry your phone. The rear of the pouch is lined with shielding fabric, and the front is just regular neoprene. This allows you to carry your phone more safely by deflecting radiation away from your body without interfering with your phone's reception or battery life. And it does work. I've been selling this product, making and selling it for 6 years now. And it works for that purpose. It doesn't, for example, make it safer to sleep with your phone. And it's really important that you understand that difference, right? If you want something to make it safer to sleep with your phone, you'd want my picture frame, not the phone pouch. But if you want something to make it safer to carry your phone, you want the phone pouch, right? So it's really important that you get, and this is true for all EMF protection that actually works. You need to pick the protection that works for your specific needs. And that is really important when picking EMF protection. And that's exactly why I'm running this webinar today, to explain my different products and what they are good for. Because the SYB catalog continues to grow, and I know picking EMF protection can be a little confusing. After all, you just want protection. So again, that's why I'm running this webinar. And so let's get into the actual catalog. I already used the example of carrying your phone. While there are a growing number of sources of EMF in our environment, if you carry a phone in your pocket or bra, that can be one of your biggest sources, single sources of exposure. Because when the phone is right up against your body, you are getting a full dose of the radiation that this device can emit, right? full dose of these things are designed to communicate over miles. And so when it's right up against your body, that is a very, very, very big dose. And people tend to carry their phones for extended periods, whether it's during an hour-long workout or for hours throughout the day, right? So you're talking about extended duration of very high doses. And so that's why I say carrying your phone in your pocket or bra, you shouldn't do it. But if you do it, that is likely one of your biggest single sources of exposure to your cumulative EMF load. And so how can you carry your phone more safely? Well, as I said, don't carry your phone in your pocket or your bra, or if you do, you put it into airplane mode. But there are some people who still want or need to carry their phones, right? They need it, they want to when they're working out, or they need it for their job, and they don't have any other convenient way of carrying it. So how can you do that more safely? Well, because this is such an important use case, we actually have several products to help carry your phone more safely. I mentioned the phone pouch, which you see there second from the right on the slide. And with the phone pouch, you put your phone in the pouch and then carry the pouch in your pocket or on your belt or in your pocketbook. We have some customers who like to do that. As long as the back of the pouch is between your phone and your body, the pouch is working. There are some people who don't like pouches because it's another thing, you have to put your phone in it. It's something you have to put your phone in. Some people don't like doing that. So I have two other products to help with that. So one is what we call the 5G phone shield. It's actually made with the same exact shielding material as the pouch, but it's a different form, right? It's just a card. And so you can put the 5G phone shield in your pocket and then put the phone in your pocket. As long as the 5G phone shield is between your phone and your body, it is working. You are getting exposed to less of this radiation. Now, the pocket patch, that's actually my first product. So I have a little bit of an emotional attachment to it. This one goes back to 2013. And this is great. It's a very powerful shield. It turns your pocket itself into a radiation shield. So you apply it to the inner lining of your pocket. And then when you put your phone in your pocket, it's deflecting the radiation away from your body. The issue with the pocket patch, why some people don't like it, is because it's a permanent adhesive, right? So once you put it on a pocket, it's there and you can't get rid of it. So you need one for every pocket that you commonly use. I see David has a comment about the green screen. I apologize for that. I upgraded my chair to help improve my posture. And I only realized recently that it messes with how Zoom does this. So it's because I have a nicer chair for a change that you're seeing that ghosting. But you're right, it is Halloween themed. And then finally, we have the Slingbag, which is a relatively new product for us. And it's actually what distinguishes the Slingbag from all of these other products is it's bigger. So it can help you carry your phone more safely. It can also help you carry your iPad more safely, or your Kindle, or your Nintendo Switch. It'll fit up to an iPad and it'll hold more than one device. So it's great. I think it looks really great. I use one all the time. I much prefer a Slingbag to a pouch. So personally, I love my SYB Slingbag. And so with the Slingbag, it's the same use case though, right? As the phone pouch, where the back of the Slingbag is what has shielding, the front does not. So you can put your stuff like your phone or your tablet in the bag and then carry your Slingbag like a backpack. And the radiation from those devices will be deflected away from your body, but they'll still be allowed or able to communicate. So I have 4 different products that help you carry your phone, and now with the Slingbag, other tech more safely. And they all do the same thing, but they're all designed to be used slightly differently. That's why I have 4 of them. Okay, now we have headsets. Holding a phone up to your head is a big no-no. You should never do it. In fact, that's why I don't make a cell phone case. Other companies make a cell phone case because they say it makes it safer to carry a phone up to your head, like to use it, to speak on it. I refuse to do that because I don't ever see a need for people to do that. Because you should always use speakerphone or a headset. Now, sometimes speakerphone isn't practical because you're out in public, You don't want people hearing your conversations or listening to your Netflix show or whatever it is. So that's when a headset comes into play. Now, I want to be clear, using a regular headset with a cell phone is much, much, much safer than holding a phone up to your head. That said, standard traditional headsets do conduct a little bit of this radiation from your phone into your ear canal. And your ear canal is a very sensitive place, A, because it's so close to your brain, but B, it's close to your brain at a part of your head where there's no skull, because you need a hole, right, for the ear canal to work. So there's no skull there. And the skull does provide a certain degree of natural shielding. And when there's no skull, that even that limited degree of natural shielding isn't there. So that's why we make anti-radiation headset products. It makes it safer to use a headset. Now, I just want to be absolutely clear. If you don't have an anti-radiation headset, continue using a regular headset, because that's so much better than holding a phone up to your head. But anti-radiation headsets do provide this additional layer of protection. And we have two of them. One are air tubes, and you'll see these from other companies as well. And with air tubes, as you can, let's see, I think you guys can see my cursor. So here you plug it into your phone or your laptop or your tablet, any device, any digital device, or Nintendo Switch even, right? And then here at these beads, that's where the sound gets translated from wire to air. So the rest of the tube, it's literally an air tube. It's a tube of air. This is a silicone tube. There's no wire in it. So any EMF that would be conducted along the wire, it stops at the beads. And so that's how air tubes work. And we have air tubes. We recently launched USB-C Air Tubes. So if you have a USB-C phone or other device, you can use them without an adapter, which is kind of cool. But there's a problem with air tubes, and that is that they sound, not great. It's a limitation of the technology. That when you're converting the sound from wire to air, and then it has to get conducted along that tube, right? So I personally use air tubes for phone calls and to listen to podcasts, but I don't use my air tubes for anything else, because the sound, like if I want to listen to music, I never use an air tube. So what do I use? Well, that's why we have the HARD, the headset anti-radiation device. And I believe you'll find that we're the only company out there with a product like this, where the HARD is designed to, inside this white compartment here is a pack of dielectric gel. So as the signal is conducted along the wire through that compartment, that pack absorbs the stray radiation, the stray frequencies from the wire, converts it to heat, but it's such a small amount of heat, you'll never really know. And then what comes out of the other side is stripped of that excess radiation. What's interesting about the HARD is that it wasn't actually developed as an anti-radiation product. It was developed as a product to improve sound quality, because by stripping that excess radiation from the signal, you're actually improving the sound quality. So whereas air tubes diminish sound quality, the HARD actually improves your sound quality. So these are the two headset products. As I mentioned at the top, when I was talking about my products, these are the only two products that I make and sell that aren't actually shielding products. They work differently, right? I said the air tubes work by just getting rid of the wire. That's not shielding. That's just removing the conduction. And then the HARD works by absorbing and converting the stray EMF to heat. So these are my only two products that aren't standard traditional shielding products. Everything else I'm talking about today are standard traditional shielding products. So next, laptops and tablets. Just like you shouldn't carry your phone in your pocket or use it against your head, neither should you use your laptop in your lap. For the same exact reason, right? Because when this product, the laptop or the iPad or whatever, when it's right up against you, you're getting a full dose of that device's radiation. In fact, as one example, if you check the manual for Dell's laptop, you'll see that it tells you to keep the thing they call a laptop, to keep it 8 inches away from your body, right? So it's in the manual for several of these models. So you don't want to use a laptop or a tablet right up against your body, but some people do. And so again, my top advice is to just not use your laptop in your lap. In fact, my primary computer is a laptop, and it is, you can't see it, but it's way over there. And I'm using an external wired keyboard and so forth, right? You want to keep your laptop as far away from you as possible, but there are people who want to use their laptops in their lap or who need to. And so that's why we make these two products, the Syb Laptop Pad and the Syb Tablet Pad. They're actually basically the same product, cut to different sizes. And so with these products, these are powerful shields that you can put, for instance, if you're working with your laptop on your lap, let's say you're on a plane or on a train or a bus, you put the laptop pad on your lap, and then you put the laptop on the laptop pad, and that deflects a bunch of the radiation away from your lap and reproductive organs. The same is true for the tablet pad. So that's what those two products are good for. Next, we have apparel. So far I've talked about protection from EMF from devices that are in your control. But exposures from devices and tech infrastructure outside of your control are growing as well. This includes everything from your neighbor's Wi-Fi networks to nearby cell towers. And the most effective way to protect yourself from these sources, the ones outside of your control, when you're out and about, is EMF protection apparel. EMF shielding apparel will protect the part of the body that it covers. That's really important to understand, right? It's not as though you put on an Syb bandana and suddenly your whole body is protected. That's not how this works. It's a shield, remember? And so it'll protect the part of the body that it is covering. And we have a growing catalog of apparel. So I mentioned the bandana. We also have the neck gaiter, which is a neck tube. It can be worn as a scarf. It can be worn as a hat. It can be worn as a balaclava. It's a very flexibly used product. If you look at our product page, we have, I think it's 12 different examples. But if you search online, you'll see people using neck tubes in all sorts of different ways. And we also have the new Syb baseball cap, dad hat. And so all three of these are designed primarily for the head and neck. Some people use the bandana in their laps as a replacement, for example, instead of the laptop pad. But again, just remember, with all of this apparel, it protects the part of the body that it's covering. These are three of the apparel products. Three more include the new Syb Wristband, which is designed specifically for smartwatches. So you wear the wristband and you put the smartwatch over the wristband. We have the Syb Boxers, which we've been making and selling for many years now, 5 or 6 years now, which are designed to protect reproductive organs of men. And unlike other brands, right, the entire boxer is made out of the shielding fabric. And then finally, this isn't really EMF protection. I mean, technically it is, but we have the new blue light glasses. So blue light is a form of EMF, right? It's a form of light, which is a form of EMF. And these are designed to shield your eyes from blue light from your devices. And these are clear, designed for all day use. So that is my current catalog of apparel, those 6 products. And that's how they're all designed to be used. With these 3, right, the wristband, boxers, and glasses, the use is obvious, right? You know where to use the wristband, you know where to use the boxers, you know where to use the glasses. Same for the cap, you know where to use the cap. The neck gaiter and bandana give you a little more flexibility in terms of how you want to use them to shield primarily your head and neck, but you could also use the bandana on other parts of your body. Okay, next, and I see questions coming in, so that's great. Again, if you have more questions, put them into the chat pod. I'm sorry, not into the chat pod, into the Q&A pod. So, as I mentioned, apparel is a great way to protect yourself against sources of EMF outside of your control when you are out and about. But when you're home, we have an even better option, and that is the Syb Canopies, right? Some people investigate home shielding, right? They want to shield their home, or they want to shield their bedroom within their home. that can be very expensive and very difficult, and it can be easy to get it wrong. And right, because this type of shielding, to implement it in a whole room or a whole apartment or a whole home basis, it involves getting a lot of things right and then not using altering how your tech in your home works, right? Because otherwise it'll be bouncing more around. So with Canopies, that's a way designed to simplify that process. Canopies don't protect your entire home. They are designed to protect your bed, or in the case of one of them, a chair or a sofa. And so it'll protect a specific area. And it provides great protection for that area. So with the bed canopies, they provide fantastic protection while you sleep. So again, it's not the whole day, but it's a big chunk of the day, generally, hopefully about a third of your day. And it's a really important third of your day because that's when your body is supposed to be resting, healing, rejuvenating for the next day. So when it comes to canopies, we actually have two. We have the bed canopy, which is available currently in twin and king sizes. And then we have the Serenity canopy, which is designed for, like I said, reading nooks, meditation spaces. It's much easier to hang. It hangs off of one hook. It's a lighter product. So these are the two canopies, and that is the big difference, right? A bed canopy from SYB requires 6 hooks into your ceiling. The Serenity canopy just requires 1. The bed canopy is much better for, I mean, it can do you can't shield a king size bed with the Serenity canopy, but you can with the king size canopy. And it creates this kind of cube. Both products, the bed canopy and the Serenity canopy, come with floor mats so that you can shield the floor as well and get this full 360 by 360 shielding effect. Next up, and we're getting through the catalog, we're almost there. There's a large body of science that shows babies are even more vulnerable to damage from EMF. They're smaller, their skulls are thinner, their cells are dividing more rapidly, and of course they have longer to live with any damage that is incurred, which is why we offer EMF protection specifically for babies. We have the baby blanket and the baby beanie. The baby beanie is, you wear it just on the head, right? Obviously. And so that helps protect the baby's brain. With the baby blanket, that can be used just as a regular baby blanket. So you can use it to wrap the baby, to cover the baby. This is actually a baby product that a lot of adults buy. They'll buy it for use in airplanes, for instance, as a travel blanket. They'll buy it again as an alternative to the laptop pad, so you can cover your body with the blanket while you're using electronics and so forth. So the baby blanket is actually, I mean, it's designed for babies, but a lot of adults like it too. The baby beanie is available only in one color. The baby blanket is available in multiple colors and patterns. Next up, and this is the final product category, is home and office. And this is sort of more of a multi-purpose kind of product line. So I have 3 products here. The picture frame is the one with the most obvious application. And this is what it was designed for is really for end tables or nightstands, right? So another one of my tips for people is to not sleep with your phone. You don't want to sleep with your phone, but some people do. In fact, there was a period in my life where I had to, because I was on call for the personal care of an elderly relative, and I had no choice. And so that's where the picture frame is what it's designed for. You put the picture frame on your bedstand, and then you can put your phone behind the frame. So the frame is between your phone and your body, and the frame deflects a bunch of the radiation, most of the radiation, away from that direction, making it safer to sleep near your phone. The picture frame holds 2 5x7 photos, and it has this nifty angle, which gives it a bit more shielding power just because it kind of wraps around the phone. It's also useful for cordless phones, for Wi-Fi routers, as long as the source is smaller than the frame itself. That's really the key with the picture frame. You want the source to be smaller than the frame. Then we have the poster frame liner and flex shield. These are both multi-purpose shielding materials. The poster frame liner was designed, and it is available in sizes that make it convenient to actually line picture frames. And that's for people who want, to put shielding up on their wall, but not want it to look like shielding. So you can, line a frame and put a print or a photo in that frame and then hang it on a wall. And then you have shielding in that location. But it doesn't look like shielding. But a lot of people buy the poster frame liner and then don't put it in a frame because you don't need to for it to work. Similarly, we have the Flex Shield. The Flex Shield comes in a 4-pack. They're 6-inch by 6-inch tiles, and they have a powerful laminate on the front and a powerful adhesive on the back. So you can apply this Flex Shield to any flat surface, like a wall or a desk or a lap desk, and then that becomes a shielded surface. And because it has this powerful laminate on top, it's protected for a long time. It's really great from a durability perspective. So the poster frame liner and Flex Shield are both designed for any kind of flat surface where you need shielding. So let's say there's a smart meter on the other side of a wall. That's a great place really for either product. So it depends, if you want the form that the poster frame liner comes in or that the Flex Shield comes in. Again, the difference is the poster frame liner is just the shielding material. And it's available in 18 by 24 and 24 by 36. Whereas the Flex Shield comes in this 4-pack of 6-inch squares. It has the adhesive for permanent application, and it has the protective laminate. Those are really the key differences between those products, but they're designed for similar use cases. Now, that is my full catalog of products. Before we get to Q&A, I also wanted to mention that we offer consulting. And here you see on this slide, Kathy Cook, who is a certified building biologist, a certified EMF radiation specialist, and as so happens, also a certified holistic nutritionist. She is available for consulting one-on-one. You can book your time through the website, shieldyourbody.com, and you can get a lot of detailed questions answered. So if you have questions about how to measure most effectively in your home, how to find where the biggest sources are, what types of EMF shielding might be best to help address more complex situations, right? That's where Kathy's expertise really can add value and help. And so that is, in addition to the EMF protection products, SYB also offers this consulting service. So that is my catalog, and I am happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. Before we get to Q&A, I wanted to remind everyone that I do have a special offer for those of you here in attendance, and that's a 20% off coupon for any order, as long as it comes in by midnight tonight, Pacific time. So if you want to get ahead of your holiday shopping, this is a great opportunity to do it with a big discount. So just go to shieldyourbody.com and enter the coupon code GUIDE20 at checkout. Again, that's through midnight tonight. For those of you who don't know, I also want to highlight, we offer free shipping on every order over $100. That, by the way, that's true in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, and in Europe, and in Australia, although we have a more limited catalog in Australia. But that free shipping rule applies not just in the US. We offer a lifetime warranty on every one of our products. It is the strongest warranty in the industry, and we really do honor those claims. And then, of course, 30-day return. So if you're unhappy, send it back, full refund. So I do everything I possibly can to make this a risk-free decision. So again, if you want to get ahead on your holiday shopping, save some big money, this is a great opportunity to do it. And with that, I'm going to get into everyone's questions. So if you'll please hold, I need to do some screen adjusting here. Okay, and I'm going to, oh good, we have a good list of questions here. Monica raised your hand, but I don't know if you did this already, but please post your question in the Q&A pod and I will get to it. Oops. I am clicking the wrong things here. Okay, so we had some people ask questions in advance, so I'm going to try to get to some of those and then answer the ones live in the room. Okay, here's a good one. It's actually the first one that was submitted. Why has your company not developed a set of over the entire ear headphones with air tube protection as other companies have? So that is a good question. I actually, once I got that question, I did some research online. I did find another company not an EMF specialized company, but another company does make this. So what he's talking about is headphones kind of like the ones I'm using, except made with air tube. And the reason is because of the sound quality of air tubes. You know, when people go to the trouble of buying headphones like this, they generally want the headphones to sound good. And air tubes can sound okay. They just never sound great. And so instead of doing the over-the-ear air tube headphones, what we did is we brought the hard to market. And that's, you can't see it because of my green screen here, but that's actually what this pair of headphones is plugged into right now, is a hard. And with that, you can use, as long as your headset is 3.5 millimeter or USB-C, you can use the hard to turn any pair of headphones into anti-radiation headphones. So that's a good question, and I appreciate you submitting it. Next, considering getting a phone for a 12-year-old son, but need to know whether there is a difference in the amount of EMF from an older iPhone or a newer, so an older iPhone X or a newer 5G iPhone 12 or higher. Even with SYB products to reduce, wouldn't it be best to be selective and get an older phone, or does it not make a difference? The answer is it does make a difference. And before we went on, before I started broadcasting, I went to check, and it so happens that at least according to Apple's numbers, the iPhone 10 emits more radiation than the iPhone 12. But I have a bunch of information about why you shouldn't trust these numbers, and I don't trust them either. So my answer to that is there is a difference, but it's not necessarily that the newer ones emit more in all cases. It can depend model by model, manufacturer by manufacturer. So, but good question. Thank you. Let's see, I'll do one more that was pre-submitted, and then I'll get to the ones that were asked here. So I need to get an EMF meter. Which one do you recommend that can keep up with the new bandwidth, the bandwidth of new technology and devices? So where's my chat pod? Here. Okay. So I have an ebook that you can download for free at this URL, which is shieldyourbody.com/test. In that ebook, I recommend several meters. Now, in terms of the newer bandwidths, I imagine you're talking about 5G. So with 5G, you're starting to see some devices and networks, particularly in big cities, running at higher millimeter wave. There's no consumer meter yet that can measure these higher millimeter waves. So there are some consumer grade meters that can go up to 8 gigahertz. I think there's one that can even go up to 10. I talk about that in the ebook. So I specifically talk about which ones cover the higher frequencies, but none of them go into millimeter wave yet. I imagine that we'll start seeing some of that hit the market within the next year or so. But there are a few different meters that I recommend, and I talk about each of them in that ebook. And that ebook's, by the way, a great guide to using them. So it's not only recommending meters, but it gives an explainer what the units mean and some tips on how to use them most effectively. Okay, so Nicole says, mine's not really a question, but hoping to see the meter showing the product helps protect EMF live if possible. I am sorry, I am not set up for that. I only have one meter here. That is a good idea though for another webinar. Hold on, we do have, I understand you're asking for it live and I'm just not set up for that. But we do have the videos on the site. And then that ebook that I just gave the link to, shieldyourbody.com/test, that shows you how you can do this, the same thing for yourself with the meters that we explain in that ebook. Here is the link to the testing videos, and I'll consider doing a live demonstration on an upcoming one. I really do have to get set up for that. But thank you, that was a good one. Anonymous asks, does the shielding just reflect the radiation? The answer is yes. So it's important to remember that with EMF, the power of the radiation diminishes exponentially with distance. This is why so many of my tips, and I talked about this in today's webinar, right? So many of my tips are about keeping this stuff further away from your body. Don't carry your phone in your pocket. Don't use your laptop on your lap. Don't sleep with your phone next to your head, the way a lot of people do, right? So the reason those are all important tips is because the power of EMF radiation diminishes exponentially with distance. And so what that means is, yes, the shielding product deflects the radiation in the opposite direction, but it gets weaker as it travels. So it's not like it just travels kind of infinitely through, or even, for miles or even for feet at the same power. It is constantly diminishing in power. So the point is to get it away from your body. But that is a very good question, Anonymous. You should claim credit for it with your real name. Thank you. David made the comment about the ghosting. I apologize. I'll see if I can figure something else about that. Can we please, okay. So Melissa asked, can we please have access to this talk once it is completed? She has to leave halfway, which means she may have already left. But the answer is yes. And I'm pasting here the link to our YouTube channel. This talk will be posted on the YouTube channel by tomorrow morning. So that's October 29th. And all of our webinars are archived there as well. Thank you. So Melissa asked, what kind of radiation do smart water meters emit? Okay, great question. So any meter that is smart will emit radio frequency or microwave. Those terms are used kind of interchangeably. So those are the frequencies that are used for wireless communication. So it's very similar to what your cell phone would emit. In fact, it's very similar to what your cell phone would emit. Also kind of similar to what your Wi-Fi would emit and so forth. And so smart water meter is basically like a cell phone mounted to your home that monitors your water consumption. Once you're talking about smart power meters, the question's a little more complicated because even dumb power meters emit radiation, right? Because power emits radiation. And so you can have a low frequency magnetic and low frequency electric emissions from even a dumb power meter. And that means when you add smart onto that, so you get low frequency magnetic, low frequency electric, and radio frequency microwave. Thank you, Melissa. Another question from Melissa, can my products help with smart meter radiation entering the house? Yes. So the two products that are most commonly used for that are the poster frame liner or the Flex Shield, again, depending on how you want to use them. The Flex Shield, again, remember, that's a kind of a permanent, it's a very strong permanent adhesive. Whereas the poster frame liner is really designed more to go into a frame, but you could also just tape it up on a wall and then not, have it be removable or movable. Another product of mine that helps protect against smart meter radiation would be the Canopies, because that protects against all of those types of sources of radiation. But it doesn't prevent the radiation from coming into the home. It just prevents it from getting to your bed or wherever you set up the canopy. Thank you, Melissa. Anonymous asks, could you stick the pocket patch to your phone or phone case? So great question. It's really two separate questions. We strongly advise against attaching any of my product, well, the two with adhesive are the pocket patch and the Flex Shield, to any electronics. They're designed, the pocket patch is designed for pocket lining, and the Flex Shield is designed for flat surfaces like walls and desks or shelves. You don't want to apply it to electronics. One, because the results can be unpredictable, and two, because it's not removable. So we strongly advise against attaching it directly to electronics. But the second half of your question, phone case, yes, some people actually do that. The pocket patch is probably better than the Flex Shield for that. And that's only because the pocket patch is much, much, much thinner. It doesn't have that protective laminate on it. But we do have customers who've done that. In fact, I'd have to look for it, but we've had customers send in photos of having done it with their phone cases. So yes, you can do that with a phone case or a laptop case, any kind of case. That would be fine. Just remember to keep the shielded side between whatever device it is and your body. That's really key. Claire asks, when apparel to protect women's reproductive organs? We're working on it, Claire. There's a whole bunch of products I would love to bring to market. And unfortunately, we're a bootstrapped company. We don't have investment, and expanding the catalog is expensive. That is in development. Thank you, Claire. Claire also asked, will the glasses fit over one's present eyeglasses? No, they're not designed for that. It would fit over contacts, but not over glasses. So these are non-prescription blue light glasses. Thank you, Claire. Nicole asks, how hard connected to device? So give me a second. I have one, but I'm using it right now, and I can't show it to you without taking it out, and then I won't hear you anymore. So let me jump back to this slide. So you see here, there's the jack, and we also sell a version with a USB-C adapter. So it'll work. You plug that jack into any 3.5 millimeter jack or USB-C jack. So that'll be your laptop, your Android phone, your iPad, your Nintendo Switch, whatever it is that you have that has a 3.5 millimeter jack or a USB-C jack, you plug that end into it. Then you plug your headphones. You can't see it easily in this photo here, but you plug your headphones into the other side of this compartment. And so basically this plugs in between your headphones and the device. So that is how you would use the hard. Thank you, Nicole. Claire says, significant problem with the two hards that you purchased. Both had problems, so sound was lost to ears, or to both ears. I guess that is, Claire, if you haven't already, you just contact my team at hello@shieldyourbody.com, or you can just reply to any email you've gotten from me, and we will take care of it. That is covered by our lifetime warranty. So we will get you new replacement units. I apologize that you had that experience with the hard, but we'll get that fixed for you, no problem. Thank you. Anonymous asks, can the frame protect outside house smart meter? So if you're talking about the picture frame, not really. It's not big enough. I mean, I want to be clear, right? All of these products use very similar shielding materials. So it's not like the fundamental technology is different. It's just like, it's not big enough, right? The picture frame is not big enough to protect against an outside source like a smart meter. But maybe if you're asking about the poster frame liner, yes, that is one of the big use cases that people have for the poster frame liner, is to hang it on. So you'd have I'm trying to get my camera here so I can see what you see. So let's say this is the smart meter on the outside of your wall. You could hang the poster frame liner on the inside of that wall, covering the area that's covered by the smart meter, and ideally a little bit more, right? And that would be a shield against that type of radiation. So thank you for that question. Diane, how do I shield an electrical box? We have an opt-out electrical meter, but there's the electrical box in the office that we need to protect. So in terms of the magnetic fields, my products would help for that. I don't have testing on the electric fields. So what you could do, I think we've talked about this in a past webinar, but Kathy would be the expert on that. So, but that's also a really good example of the kind of question that would be great for the consulting, because those tend to be more complicated shielding implementations. And so that, and the coupon that I have for you today also works on the consulting. I apologize, I don't have like just an easy answer for you on that one, but that is a harder situation to provide shielding on, because electrical fields are just harder to shield. But thank you for the question, Diane. Claire asks, can you use the poster frame liner and lean it against the router, between the router and the rest of the house? You could. If the router is smaller than my picture frame, the picture frame would be a little bit better because it's freestanding. But if you could, what you could do is take the poster frame liner and paste it, or tape it to just like a piece of cardboard or something that's freestanding, and then put that in between the router and the area that you're trying to shield. But yes, you could use the poster frame liner that way, Claire. And again, if the router is smaller than the picture frame would be easier to do that. Is the phone shield waterproof? Mine fell in ice water and didn't find it for 3 hours. Wow. That won't harm the shielding fabric that's included in in any of my phone shields. You don't want, with the exception of my apparel, which are specifically designed, you don't want any of my products to go into the wash. But falling into cold water won't harm the shielding. And it shouldn't harm the actual product itself, because the shielding's in the product, but like the 5G phone shield is made with vegan leather. It shouldn't harm any of that. But if there's issues that persist, contact my support. That's hello@shieldyourbody.com. But thank you, Lynn. That's a good question. I fell asleep with my phone nearby overnight and it was turned on, but my router was turned off at the source. What was my exposure? I can't say what your exposure was, but if your phone is connected to a cell network, then it doesn't matter that your Wi-Fi router was on or off. I mean, it's better that your Wi-Fi router was off because then you're not getting the radiation from the Wi-Fi router, but your phone is still emitting radiation. But in terms of what the exposure was, that's not very easy for me to say because you kind of need to measure it because it can vary pretty widely. But so does it make any difference that the router was off? It'll make a difference in that you're not getting the exposure from the router at the same time, but it won't make a difference to your phone. Thank you, Claire. Graham, okay, I already answered that. That was about the over the ear. So Terry asks, is the midnight discount deadline in each time zone? No, it's midnight Pacific. So that would be 3 a.m. Eastern, Terry. So you have just a little, well, I mean, everyone has the same amount of time, but you have until later than the folks back in LA. Shirley asks, where do I get the catalog to look at? And that is a great question. I don't know why I didn't put that in the slides. And so I'm going to paste that into the chat here. It is shieldyourbody.com/catalog. And that explains all of my products. It gives some other information about the company and our testing and so forth. And it links to, if you're interested in any of them, to buy them. So thank you, Shirley. I definitely should have included the catalog. David asked, will I be creating other products using the dielectric gel? Good question. I don't think we're working on kind of new versions of the hard. I don't know when they'll be able to come to market, but in terms of other products, no, that is the only product line that we're working with that in. Thank you, David. Which of my products can I use to shield when briefly using a microwave oven? So for that, I'd recommend a good pair of Nikes, right? Because you want to get as far away from that microwave oven as possible. It is possible to shield microwave ovens, but they are very, very powerful and they emit in every single direction. So with a microwave oven in particular, I wouldn't advocate any particular shielding product. I would say get out of the room when you use it. But the apparel products would help protect you against the microwave frequencies. That would be the one thing that I do offer that could help. But in general, I say get away. I strongly advocate against microwaves. I've never owned a microwave, but I understand there are people who need to use them for convenience or whatever it may be. So I say just get away, turn it on and leave. That is my advice for microwave ovens. Diane asks a question, which I forget who, someone else asked a question earlier, which is about electric box protection. so the answer there is I strongly recommend booking time with Kathy for that. Let me just make sure I have the URL correctly on that. This is the direct link. I'm pasting it into chat to book time with Kathy. Because again, you know, with electric boxes, that's just one of those things where it really helps to have the time with a certified specialist to actually learn more about your specific environment and what you hope to accomplish. And she would be able to guide you on that. And today's coupon works for that as well. Alan asks, when are you distributing the wristbands on back order? That depends on the country. The US will go out early next week. Canada will probably also go out early next week. And the UK may go out, UK and Europe may go out next week as well. But I apologize for the delay on that. We missed it. We missed our deadline by about, the initial deadline by about 2 weeks. As you've heard, there's all sorts of supply chain issues going on around the world. If you want a refund, just contact hello@shieldyourbody.com. But again, if you're in the US or Canada, they will go out next week. And if you're in the UK and Europe, they may go out next week, possibly the following week. So I know that those were just received by a couple of my warehouses. So like we actually have them and they just need to get processed and ready to ship out. So, but thank you, Alan, for your patience. Okay, David, if the canopy is used for shielding low voltage electric frequencies from the walls, the canopy must be grounded, correct? So that is a complicated question. That is one where I'm going to defer to Kathy. You don't need to book consulting time on that because she has answered that one specifically in a past webinar. So please give me 1 second here. Yes, it is in here. I don't have, I'm pasting the link into the chat pod. I don't have time right now to find the exact time code in there, but Kathy goes into detail on that issue. That is it's a really good question. I will say we are working on a solution that, because someone else actually, in fact, you know what, while I'm answering this, I'm going to answer another question here that was submitted in advance. So which one was it? Oh, give me a second. Okay, someone asked in advance, and I apologize, I don't know who asked this, but my biggest question for this Q&A webinar is clarification for why R said in the past that using grounding sheets on one's bed is exposing one to dirty electricity. Does anything plugged into a house's outlet use or emit dirty electricity? If so, if not, why does a grounding sheet do so more than other devices? Okay. So these grounding products, I mean, in general, right, there's a whole wide array of grounding products. So I can't speak for all of them, but a simple grounding product, like a grounding mat for your feet in an office, for that will not be, that will not generate dirty electricity. What it will do is conduct dirty electricity that's already flowing through the wires in your home. And so to answer the question, yes, anything you plug in to your home wiring will conduct the dirty electricity that is flowing in your wiring. And some of it will actually contribute to the dirty electricity. So particularly anything with a motor, like a blender, and anything with an inverter, like a cell phone charger, all these things will be sources of dirty electricity. But even if it's not a source of dirty electricity, it will conduct the dirty electricity. So that's why we recommend against grounding at this time. We are working on a solution for that, so please stay tuned. And David, I appreciate the follow-up. I understand your original question wasn't about grounding, but the reason we don't recommend grounding on the canopy is because of the dirty electricity issue. And again, just bear with me a little bit here. Stay tuned for what I hope will be a very exciting announcement before too terribly long that I hope really goes a long way to helping address this use case, because we do get a lot of questions about grounding in the canopy. Patty asks, how can I protect myself while staying in a hotel? I used the neck gaiter flat on my torso, and while it was fantastic, I need more shielding. So the baby blanket would be an option. You'd want to wrap yourself in it. A full-size blanket would probably be better. It's probably, not practical for a hotel, but the Serenity canopy is also designed to be more easily portable. It's not good for a hotel because you still do need one ceiling hook, but it is much easier to move around. But in terms of hotel shielding, it would be as much apparel as you could get to cover as much of your body as possible. Again, remembering the parts of your body that remain uncovered are still exposed. So, but great question, Patty. Thank you. Frank asks, if there's a microcell outside my house, how do I shield the wall facing the microcell? The answer there would be kind of a larger scale shielding. So the product that I sell that helps with that would be the canopy, but that doesn't shield your whole house. That would just shield your bed. But that is a great use case for the canopy. If you actually wanted to shield your whole house, you would need something like Y-Shield paint or some other type of large scale installation, for which I would strongly recommend getting an EMF consultant, because that is, you need to make sure it's set up right. You need to make sure it's grounded correctly, and you need to make sure that you adjust other things in your living space to account for the fact that you have this huge shielded area. For instance, if you have Wi-Fi or other wireless emitting technologies in your apartment or house, right? So it is possible, not with products that I sell. I strongly recommend you get a consultant to do that type of implementation. If you wanted something kind of simpler, that's exactly why we made the canopy. It doesn't do your whole house, but it does protect you all night while you sleep. So thank you, Frank. Another question about the electrical box. Claire, I see your other comment here about the heart. If you want to just email me, I'll get back to you. I should be able to do that tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, then by Monday. Thank you for your patience, and I appreciate you tuning in. So Graham asks, what do we think about ferrite beads? So the claims of ferrite beads are actually very similar to the claims of my HARD, the HARD, headset anti-radiation device. I have never seen lab testing that verifies the claims of ferrite beads, whereas we have lab testing on the HARD. So that's really the key difference for me, because this type of product really requires lab testing. Because of its use, it's very, very, very challenging, almost impossible to verify for yourself. With my headset products or any anti-radiation headset product, it's very hard because the levels that you're shielding or protecting are just, they're very hard for consumer grade meters to measure. So that's why I really rely on lab testing for the HARD, and I've never seen that for ferrite beads. Now maybe it's out there and I haven't. If you know of it, I'd really love to see it. So you can just, any of the emails you got about today's webinar, you can just reply, I'll get that. So thank you, Graham. Diane thanks me for this work, and Diane, thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Carmen asks, what product would help with shielding from dirty electricity from my refrigerator in my kitchen? None of my products shield. I mean, they're not designed particularly for shielding dirty electricity. They may provide some level of protection, but we don't, there's no labs really where you can get that verified. What you want for dirty electricity, there are a couple of companies that make dirty electricity filters. So one is Stetzer Electric and one is Green Wave. Give me 1 second here, please. I want to look, I have an article on this. And I need to find the link, and here is the link. So I'm going to paste it into the chat here. It is shieldyourbody.com/dirty-electricity. On that page, we link to both Green Wave and Stetzer. We also have an educational video about dirty electricity, and no, I think that's it. but we there's a lot of information there. So I said there's two things, right? One is filters. Two is knowing how to install the filters correctly. And that is something where, again, I recommend a EMF consultant. That's one where it's really best to have the person come in person, if rather than doing it online, like through Shield Your Body Consulting. If you can't find an EMF consultant in person, then Kathy can help you. If you go to shieldyourbody.com and under the store, you pick consulting, you can book time with Kathy and she can help you. That I would say, though, the preferable solution is to find someone who can come to your house and actually do the measurements. Because with dirty electricity, it's as much, my understanding is that it is as much art as science in terms of figuring out the best, how many filters you need, where you need to put them, and verifying that they're actually doing what you think they're doing. So it is definitely possible to filter out dirty electricity. It's not easy. It's much cheaper than shielding a whole house, because these filters, they don't cost like what it would cost to shield your whole house, to buy a few filters, but you need to make sure that you do it correctly. And that's where the consultant expert comes in. Thank you, Carmen. Okay, Claire asked, my house gets almost no cell reception at all, so all calls go through Wi-Fi. Oh, I get, you're asking, this is follow up on the earlier question. So, okay, if all your calls go through Wi-Fi, first, and you may already be doing this, I just want to say this for everybody, right? You want to turn your phone into airplane mode and then turn on Wi-Fi. So you want to make sure that the cell data is disabled, because even if your phone doesn't have reception, but the cell data is not disabled, your phone is going to still be pinging out. And in fact, the worse your reception, the more power your phone is going to be emitting, because it's going to work harder to get that connection. So you want to make sure that the cell data is turned off. And in fact, hold on, I want to find a link here, please, if you'll just bear with me here. This post explains this a lot. It's shieldyourbody.com/airplane-mode, because it talks not just about airplane mode, but how to selectively enable and disable different connections on your phone. So to answer your question, first off, make sure that the cell connection is disabled. If it's not, your phone will actually be emitting possibly even more radiation as it attempts to find that cell connection. So let's assume your cell data is off and your Wi-Fi card is on, but your Wi-Fi router is off. Your phone will still be pinging. I don't know offhand how much it was radiation it would be. It shouldn't be a huge amount, but it would still be emitting, because even though your router is off, your phone is still trying to search for networks. And so as it's trying to search for networks constantly, it will be emitting, but it would be emitting less than having the cell data on and searching for cell connections. And it would be emitting less probably than if you were like doing something active over Wi-Fi, like having a call, but it would still definitely be a source. I don't know offhand how much. That was a good question. Thank you, Claire. Lynn asked, can the phone shield be used with the pouch to make it sturdier and more powerful, or do they cancel each other out? They don't cancel each other out. The more shielding you have, yes, the more powerful it would be. That is possible. They both work very well. So I'd say that, I mean, it would give you some incrementally better shielding, and they definitely wouldn't cancel each other out. So that's how I would answer that question. Claire says, just FYI, the gaiter or anything else used around the base of the skull and neck is protecting the vital vagus nerve, which starts in that area and then runs throughout the body, impacting all major organs. So shielding at the origin of the nerve seems like a great idea. Thank you for that. Certainly, you know, the head is a really important area to shield. I mean, you want to protect every part of your body, but both the head and the reproductive organs tend to be for obvious and reasonable reasons of the most concern to people. And with the bandana and the neck gaiter, also you're getting thyroid protection. There's science that's been released within just the past few years showing links between cell phone radiation and thyroid cancer. So there's a whole bunch of really important stuff in this kind of general area. And so all the bandana, the neck gaiter, and the baseball cap are all really great for those use cases. Thank you, Claire. Claire asks, how do you email me directly? I don't give out my email on this because this gets put on YouTube, but just you got emails from me for this webinar. Just reply to one of those and that comes to me. I promise it comes to me. I may forward it for some requests or emails. I may forward it to my support team to handle, but I at least get it. So I'll read it and figure out how to handle it. Alan asks, are we able to ship a canopy to the UK? Unfortunately, not yet, Alan. That is something we are working on. The canopy is very, very expensive. I mean, not only to the end consumer like you, obviously, but also to me as the producer. And shifting it between countries leads to significant duties. And so we have to work on supply chain optimization to get to the point where we can sell that particular product in any country other than the United States. But that I expect in 2022 that will happen. But as of right now, we are not able to ship to the UK. Carmen thanks me for my honesty. Thank you, Carmen. I don't know what in particular honest thing that I said that was in response to, but I try hard because this has been since day one for a couple of reasons. One is because I've built this company to carry forward, in part to carry forward my father's legacy. It is an important legacy. And I don't want it mixed up with a whole bunch of the kind of other types of product offerings. And even, even companies, certain companies that sell legitimate products, they are less rigid with the way they market them than perhaps SYB is. And so since day one, it's been very important to me to just be honest about what my products do. The other is, as a consumer, EMF is a real risk here. And as a consumer, you should be able to know how to protect yourself from it because it's not like other types of products. EMF it's invisible, it's odorless, it's complicated. And there's so many different types of things out there. Not all of them are fake, right? SYB is not the only company in the world that makes real EMF protection. So, but you should know what you're getting and does it actually work for you? Because if not, you're not getting protected. And that's really, that's the whole point of SYB. So, but thank you for acknowledging that. It's nice when I hear that's recognized. So thank you. Frank, the canopy shield is not grounded, not to even earth ground. So, okay. This always comes up when we talk about the canopy. We cover it more if you Frank, I'll answer your question, but if you go, I'm going to paste it here into the chat pod again. This webinar, I believe that was one that Kathy gave. I was on it too. And it was about bedroom EMF reduction. And we talk about the canopy in there. The answer is you can ground the canopy. Any kind of alligator ground will work. And we tell people when they contact, so on the product page for the canopy, we say you don't need to ground the canopy. But obviously that's a more complicated discussion, which is why we constantly talk about it. So you don't need to ground the canopy, but there's pluses and minuses, pros and cons to grounding the canopy. And so if you want to ground the canopy, you can. And you can get these like $20 alligator grounds. So you get like this little clip and it clips to the canopy and then you can ground it into your outlet or optimally into the ground or the earth outside. But even that isn't, safe depending on the level of ground currents in your yard or wherever you're grounding. So the short answer is we say you don't have to ground the canopy. We don't tell you not to ground the canopy. We don't include a ground, but you can ground it. And whenever anyone emails support asking this question, we include that information. We give a sample link to a product on Amazon that you could use. So, but thank you for the question, Frank. And do check out that YouTube link. Patty says, using the neck gaiter protects my thyroid and I'm very energetic. That's great to hear, Patty. Thank you. Yeah, the thyroid, I think, is a really important. It's one of these areas where the science on it is more recent. So you don't hear it talked about as much. We do talk about it on the blog. I don't know offhand which post. I can look for it. But yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. Barb asks, is overpowered available to order new? If not, will it be someday? So overpowered was published by a real publisher, meaning not by like me or my dad or self-published on Amazon. So we are not in control of when it goes to press. I believe the paperback, I don't check all the time. The last time I checked, there were new copies of the paperback available in the US, but not the hardcover. I don't know offhand what the plans are for publishing more. I do know that it's also available, somewhat ironically, I recognize, on Kindle. I do, by the way, I do read my books on Kindle. I find it super convenient. I always use it in airplane mode. So I'll get the book, like I'll turn the Wi-Fi on, I'll do my shopping, and then I'll turn the Wi-Fi off, and that's how I enjoy the Kindle. But in terms of the physical book, it all depends on timing. And Seven Stories Press doesn't tell me when they plan to print. I remember when my father passed away in 2018, there was a big rush, a big demand for Overpowered, and we eventually got the publisher to print more, but that was the last time I had any interaction on that. So thank you, Barb. Would it still be better to use a poster frame liner over an electrical box versus nothing? Yes. That is because so an electrical box will be a source of both electrical and magnetic. And while the results on the electrical, I can't speak to offhand, it's possible that the poster frame liner would shield the electric. It's also possible that it wouldn't. And you kind of need to test to know. So that's why I can't answer that part of the question kind of definitively. But the poster frame liner also shields magnetic. And an electrical box will be a source of both electrical and magnetic forces. And so, yes, the poster frame liner would provide at least some degree of protection in that instance. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. So does a grounding pad for one's feet or grounding shouldn't be plugged in, but if it's not plugged in, so I interpret Claire's question here to be, if you have a grounding product, but it's not plugged into a ground, would it be of any value? That's, it's an interesting question. My gut tells me no, but I don't know for sure. That's something that Kathy would, I'm sure, know the answer to. That one, if you want to email into hello@shieldYourBody, I can see if I can get Kathy to answer that and get you an answer, and then maybe update the grounding post too with that information. That's an interesting. No one's ever asked that before of me or SYB, so I can work to try to get you an answer on that. Thank you, Claire. Okay, Claire asks, how does one find consultants nearby? Is there a registry? Give me 1 second, please. This is not a complete registry, but the Building Biology Institute does have a list. And I will share the link here in the chat. And for anyone watching the video who doesn't see the chat, you go to buildingbiologyinstitute.org, and in the header you click Find an Expert, and that's where you can see it. But I'm going to get Claire here the direct link. And that is the link to the EMF certified specialist by the Building Biology Institute. It is not comprehensive. You have to opt in. The consultants need to opt into this service to be listed here, but they are listed by state. And then again, if you are interested in booking time with Kathy for a remote session, you go to shieldYourBody.com, and under the shop menu, you click consulting, or you go to the link that I just pasted into chat here. Okay, done. And that was the last new question. I think there's some I skipped, but I thought they were duplicates of ones I already answered. So I think, let me just check the ones submitted in advance again, because I didn't get to all of those. Okay, here's a good one. I did want to make sure to get a little time here, and then we'll wrap up. I'm going to be on the road in an RV and working through Wi-Fi as a digital nomad. Also, the RV will preferably use some type of solar panels either attached to the roof or as flexible panels plugged into the inverter and or batteries. It's a long question. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically this person is saying they're going to be a digital nomad, but more particularly, they're going to be more of a, what we might call a van lifer, and which is a movement that I am very familiar with, as someone who actually used to live in a tiny home for a while. I got into a lot of these issues and the communities going back, over 10 years ago, and I see that it's growing, and I love that it's growing. This applies not just for digital nomads and van lifers. There are a lot of people who live in RVs, and the question is, basically, how can you do that more safely, particularly if you're going to put on solar power or any type of green energy, because those all involve inverters, and inverters generate a significant amount of dirty electricity on top of all the EMF. A lot of these things are made, the RVs and vans are made of metal, obviously, which reflect EMF. So if you're running wireless inside of an RV, right, that'll be deflected around it. These RVs have power lines running through them. So this is all by way of saying RVs and vans, vans converted for living, can be significant sources of EMF. And unfortunately, my answer to you is that there is no simple answer yet. The question signs off, this is a huge movement, RV and digital nomads, and I would like to think, and I would think someone is starting to address this commercially in some way. The answer is no. No one has started to address this commercially in some way, but it is because it is a popular movement. It is the kind of thing where if you connect with a specialist like Kathy through SYB Consulting or through any of the other certified building biologists on that list that I posted out, they would be able to give you some insight. Now, there are a couple things. Well, there's one thing in particular that you can do that will at least help, and that is to be using kill switches. So only selectively enable and disable circuits in the RV when you are using them. So when you turn it off at a circuit breaker, that kills the whole circuit, and that'll prevent it from being a conduit for dirty electricity. So that is one specific action item that you can take that will help reduce your exposure. Beyond that, this is not yet something where there's great products. And I expect in the coming years, there will be more options, but as of right now, that's the situation. So, but that was a really great question, and I did want to make time to answer it. So with that, I think I have addressed everything here in the room. I want to thank all of you. Oh, just a reminder, right? This special 20% off is through midnight tonight Pacific time. So that is still another 9.5 hours. Works on anything. You can even use it multiple times. If you check out and then realize you want something else later, you can use it multiple times as long as it's before midnight tonight Pacific time. It'll work on the products. It'll work on the consulting. It's a great way to get a bit ahead on your holiday shopping and save some money as well. And make sure you get it in time for the holidays because shipping is so crazy right now. With all of that, I want to thank you for your time and for coming out tonight or this afternoon. And I'll be posting the recording of this on our YouTube channel tomorrow, and also posting our next webinar, which is, I forget the actual date, but I'll be posting it tomorrow on the website, and Kathy will be running it. It'll be the week before Thanksgiving, and it is themed on how to run a low-tech holiday. So I think it'll be a great topic, and I look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you very much for coming out, and have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.